Hi, I'm Mr. PM Satar, working as a junior college lecturer at Mahavir Pandurang Savanki Junior College, Baderazri. Last time, I started our second topic, that is reproduction in lower and higher animals. As reproduction in the first topic as well as the second topic begins with the definition of the reproduction. Each and every individual reproduces its identical copies. प्रत्येक सजीव त्याच्यासारखा दुसरा जीव निर्माण करतो, ज्या प्रक्रियेला आपण रिप्रोडक्शन असे म्हणतो. वनस्पतीमधील रिप्रोडक्शन आहे, सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन आहे, व्हेजिटेटिव्ह रिप्रोडक्शन आहे, अलिंगी पुनरुत्पादन, व्हेजिटेटिव्ह रिप्रोडक्शन, शाखीय प्रजनन, सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन, लिंगी पुनरुत्पादन, हे वनस्पतींच्या मध्ये आपण पाहिलं. त्यानंतर आता टुडे वी हॅव टू डिस्कस the method of reproduction in case of the lower and higher animals. And last lecture, in reproduction in lower animals, विकसित अशा प्रकारच्या प्राण्यांच्यामध्ये जे रिप्रोडक्शन आहे, because in case of the animals the reproduction broadly classified into asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. प्राण्यांच्यामध्ये असेक्शुअल आणि सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन एवढंच आहे. प्राण्यांच्यामध्ये व्हेजिटेटिव्ह रिप्रोडक्शन म्हणजे शाखीय प्रजनन नाही. So the asexual reproduction where the apomixis is there. Apomixis, that is without mixing the characters of the parents. Because while the asexual reproduction, asexual reproduction मध्ये new individual is formed only from the single parent. एकाच parent पासून नवीन individual ज्यावेळेला तयार होत असेल, एकाच parent पासून म्हणतोय. And here the examples, instead of the well developed animals, the lower animals, as the gemule formation in the sponges मध्ये आपण बघितलेलं आहे gemule formation. The new gemule is formed from single parent, so that is apomixis. In case of the budding in hydra and corals मध्ये budding मार्फत reproduction जे आहे, there also the new individual is formed by single parent. एकाच parent पासून नवीन individual तयार होतं. त्यामुळे या ठिकाणी मिक्सिंग म्हणजे दोन कॅरेक्टर्स एकत्र येण्याचा संबंधच येत नाही, कारण नवीन जीव निर्माण होतो एकाच सजीवापासून. सो दॅट इज द मेथड, दॅट इज ॲपोमिक्सिस, दॅट इज द रिप्रोडक्शन, फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द न्यू इंडिव्हिज्युअल फ्रॉम सिंगल पॅरेंट. एकाच पॅरेंटपासून नवीन इंडिव्हिज्युअल तयार होतो. सो देअर वन वर्ड वी आर युझिंग, दॅट इज अ क्लोन्स, दॅट इज अ जेनेटिकली सिमिलर ऑफस्प्रिंग्स आर ऑलवेज फॉर्म इन द सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन. याचा अर्थ सेक्शुअल लिंगी पुनरुत्पादनामध्ये अनुवंशिकदृष्ट्या किंवा जेनेटिक प्रॉपर्टी जे एक्झॅक्ट आयडेंटिकल टू द पॅरेंट. सो दॅट इज वन इम्पॉर्टंट प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ द सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन. Then today we have discussed with the second main type of the sexual reproduction, that is second main type of the reproduction, that is sexual reproduction in case of the animals. प्राण्यांच्यामध्ये सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन जे आहे, प्राण्यांच्यामध्ये असणारं लिंगी पुनरुत्पादन जे आहे, हे लिंगी पुनरुत्पादन आपण बघणार आहे. मेनली कॉन्सन्ट्रेटिंग ऑन दी सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन इन केस ऑफ द ह्युमन बीइंग. सो हियर द सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन. So what is a sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction, another word, that is amphimixis is there. Here amphimixis, that is mixing the characters of both the parents. For sexual reproduction, two parents are involved. Sexual reproduction मध्ये दोन parents involvement आहे. One may be male and another is a female. So here while forming the new individual, here the characters of both the parents. इथं sexual reproduction मध्ये sexual reproduction म्हणजे amphimixis. Amphimixis, that is mixing the characters of both the parents. या ठिकाणी दोन्ही पॅरेंटचे जे कॅरेक्टर्स आहेत ते कॅरेक्टर्स मिक्स होतात आपण म्हणतो. सो दॅट इज मिक्सिंग द कॅरेक्टर्स ऑफ दी बोथ द पॅरेंट्स अँड न्यू इंडिव्हिज्युअल इज फॉर्म. इथं नवीन इंडिव्हिज्युअल तयार होत असताना दोन पॅरेंट्सची लक्षणं जी आहेत ही लक्षणं एकत्र येतात. सो दॅट इज amphimixis. Then how actual the sexual reproduction or which process is occurring at the time of sexual reproduction? आता सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शनच्या वेळेला जी प्रोसेस आहे, that process begins with the formation of the gametes. So the sexual reproduction, it involves the production of the offsprings by formation and fusion of the gametes. Here the formation of the gamete is a first necessary step Here the male gamete, here female gamete. That is the formation of the gametes is the first necessary step in sexual reproduction. Formation of gametes. So while forming the gametes, while producing the gametes, here initially the parents having diploid set of chromosomes. Both the parents having diploid set of chromosomes. That is 2n number is there. And to keep the number of chromosomes constant in the progeny or in the offspring or in the upcoming generation, येणाऱ्या पिढीमध्ये गुणसूत्रांची संख्या जी आहे ही गुणसूत्रांची संख्या ओरिजिनल जेवढी आहे तेवढीच राहिली पाहिजे. दॅट इज 2n number. In case of the human being, its 2n number is 46 1. So to keep the number of chromosome 46 constant, here one basic requirement in the sexual reproduction is while producing the gametes, इथे ज्या वेळेला gametes तयार होतात, while producing the gametes, those gametes must be haploid one, because the sexual reproduction is the mixing of the characters, here male and female gametes. So formation of the gamete is first step, and while forming the gametes, मग इथं formation of the gametes हा पहिला टप्पा आपण सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन मध्ये म्हणतो. मग इथे गॅमेट्स तयार होत असताना गुणसूत्रांची संख्या नवीन जनरेशन मध्ये, नवीन अपत्यामध्ये गुणसूत्रांची संख्या मूळ जी आहे पॅरेंट मध्ये ही स्थिर राहण्यासाठी आपल्याला काय करावं लागेल? द गॅमेट्स मस्ट बी विथ हॅप्लॉइड सेट ऑफ क्रोमोझोम्स. जी इथे गॅमेट्स मध्ये गुणसूत्रांची संख्या जी आहे ती सिंगल सेट ऑफ क्रोमोझोम्स असायला पाहिजे. सो हियर द बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग द गॅमेट्स, important type of the cell division, that is a meiosis, must be required for sexual reproduction. And in case of the meiosis, we have studied already in the 11th standard, or many times it is repeated. And meiosis, as a result of cell division, the number of chromosomes reduces to some. Meiosis मध्ये गुणसूत्रांची संख्या मात्रपेशीपेक्षा निम्मी होते आहे, त्याच्या निम्मी होण्याचं काम केलं जातं. So either it may be sexual reproduction in case of plants, or it may be sexual reproduction in case of the animals. Wherever the gametes are formed, ज्या ज्या ठिकाणी गॅमेट्स तयार होतील, मग वनस्पतींच्या मध्ये आपण मेल गॅमेट तयार होत असताना, फिमेल गॅमेट तयार होत असताना, मग तिथं एग सेल तयार होत असेल, मेल गॅमेट तयार होत असेल, त्यावेळेला रिडक्शन डिव्हिजन आलेली होती, मिओसिस आलेलं होतं. तसंच याही ठिकाणी सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शनच्या वेळेला इम्पॉर्टंट स्टेप जी आहे, while forming the gametes, the important, that is meiosis, requires to reduce the number of chromosomes to its half, from diploid to haploid one. So for sexual reproduction, here formation of the gametes is the first step. Second step, that is a fusion of the gametes. That fusion requires in sexual reproduction. So fusion of the gametes, fusion of the haploid male gamete with haploid female gamete, this fusion is nothing but the fertilization. So these are different sequential steps occurring in the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, different sequential steps, that is the formation of the gametes, then fusion of the gametes. That fusion is nothing but the fertilization, and as a result of fertilization, the zygote is formed. That zygote with diploid set of chromosomes. That zygote later on, in the post-fertilization changes, or in the fertilization, zygote converts into embryo. Then in the post-fertilization changes, that embryo divides and redivides in gestation, and post-fertilization changes occurring. So different sequential steps later on, which I'll discuss in later, but in the introductory part of sexual reproduction, here the first step, that is the formation of the gametes. Then second step, that is the fusion of the gametes. Then there are two main phases in the sexual reproduction. Here events we are observing in short, then two phases are there. The first important phase in the life cycle of the animals, which are producing, which follows the sexual reproduction. ज्या animals मध्ये sexual reproduction ही reproductionची टाईप आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये दोन मेन फेजेस आहेत. The first phase, that is the juvenile phase. And second phase, that is a reproductive phase, or phase of maturity, it may be called as the juvenile phase. आता पहिली phase जी आहे ही juvenile phase, and in juvenile phase it completes its body growth or physical growth. When after birth of the animal, from birth to completes its physical growth, birth पासून त्या ऑर्गॅनिझमची फिजिकल ग्रोथ जी आहे, बॉडी ग्रोथ जी आहे, ही फिजिकल ग्रोथ होते इन द ज्युवेनाइल फेज. So in the juvenile phase, the organism doesn't able to reproduce sexually because the initial phase, as in case of the plants, how the plant takes the time to complete its vegetative growth and then it attains the reproductive stage. ज्या वेळेला वनस्पतींच्या मध्ये सुद्धा सेक्शुअल रिप्रोडक्शन होत असताना सुरुवातीची फेज जी आहे ही ज्युवेनाइल फेज, आणि या ठिकाणी ज्युवेनाइल फेजमध्ये आपण प्राण्यांच्या मध्ये फिजिकल ग्रोथ जसं म्हणतो तसं वनस्पतींच्या मध्ये वनस्पतीची शाखीय वाढ पूर्ण होते. अँड आफ्टर कम्प्लिशन ऑफ द व्हेजिटेटिव्ह ग्रोथ द प्लांट अटेन्स द रिप्रोडक्टिव्ह स्टेज. मग शाखीय ग्रोथ पूर्ण झाल्यानंतर ही वनस्पती रिप्रोडक्टिव्ह स्टेजला जाते किंवा रिप्रोडक्टिव्ह स्टेजला पोहोचते. त्याचप्रमाणे इतर प्राण्यांच्या मध्ये सुद्धा इनिशियल स्टेज दॅट इज द ज्युवेनाइल स्टेज, अँड इन ज्युवेनाइल स्टेज it starts from the birth of that organism up to completion of its physical growth. या birth पासून physical growth पर्यंत जी स्टेज आहे ही juvenile stage म्हणतो. Then that juvenile stage may be variable in different organisms. या प्रत्येक प्राण्यांच्या मध्ये juvenile phase जी आहे ही juvenile phase वेगवेगळी असू शकते. Depends on the life cycle of that organism. या ऑर्गॅनिझमची जी लाईफ सायकल आहे त्याच्यावरती अवलंबून. माणसाची लाईफ सायकल जी आयडियल लाईफ स्पॅन दॅट इज 100 years. So that time in case of the human being, but juvenile phase may be from 12 years to 16 years, depends on the nutrition or property of that organism, and is from near about 12 to 18 years it takes to complete its juvenile phase. Then it attains the reproductive phase. Like that, in case of the animals which are in short lifespan, for example in case of the dogs the lifespan is very short one, that is as compared to human being, human having 100 years, dog having 20 years, in that the juvenile phase time is different. So depends on the organism, the juvenile phase and reproductive phase, these two phases are different. And one more difference here in the sexual reproduction, in case of the sexual reproduction the animal shows various breeding patterns. Breeding patterns, some are seasonal breeders. Some animals have only able to reproduce seasonally, seasonal breeders, and here are the examples like the donkeys, like the sheep, the goats. These are seasonal breeders, whereas the human being or the apes have a continuous breeders. Ape or the human being have a continuous breeder. Anytime throughout the life, throughout the year, they able to reproduce. So these are non-seasonal breeders. Human being, ape, non-seasonal breeders, whereas sheep, goat, and some animals are the seasonal breeders. They only able to reproduce seasonally. Then a human reproductive system. After this, we directly switch over to the, because in our topic the main concentration on the human reproductive system, and that human reproductive system involves two, that is the male reproductive system and female reproductive system. And in case of the human being, the male reproductive system or female reproductive system or sexual reproduction starts from the gametogenesis, that is the formation of the gametes, and a step of the insemination, then internal fertilization, that is the fusion of the male and female gametes, then zygote formation, embryogenesis, gestation, and perpetuation. These are different sequential steps occurring in the sexual reproduction in case of the human being. And here the formation of the gametes, that is the gametogenesis, in case of the male. In case of the human, the sperms or eggs, sperms are produced in the male genitalia or testis is the main primary sex organs which produce the male gametes. So in case of the human being, primary sexual characters and secondary sexual characters are there. Primary sexual characters or primary sexual characters in animals, in Male, the primary sexual structure, that is a gonad or testis, which produces the sperms. Primary sexual characters in case of the female, that is the ovaries, which produce the ova or eggs. Secondary sexual characters in case of the male, number of secondary sexual characters are there. So in case of the human being, it is called as sexual dimorphic characters. Dimorphic characters, that is morphologically different. Male, we are able to differentiate male from female because of the morphological characters, that is the sexual reproductive characters. And these sexual reproductive characters in case of the male, that is development of the beard, mustache, hairs on the chest and muscular body, as well as enlarged larynx, that is Adam's apple. These are the secondary sexual characters in case of the male, whereas secondary sexual characters in case of the female, that is the development of the breast, broader pelvis and high-pitched voice, that is secondary sexual characters in case of the female. So here, today we have to discuss an introductory part about the sexual reproduction, then a human reproductive system where the primary sexual characters and secondary sexual characters are there. Last time, for homework, I have given to draw the diagram of male reproductive system as well as TS of testis and LS of testis. You may draw that diagram. गेल्या वेळेला आपण होमवर्कला मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव्ह सिस्टीमची डायग्राम काढायला सांगितली होती, त्याचे लेबल करायला सांगितले होते. LS ऑफ टेस्टिस आणि TS ऑफ टेस्टिस या दोन डायग्राम काढायला सांगितल्या होत्या आणि त्याही लेबल करायला सांगितल्या होत्या. So to the next lecture we discuss actual on the male reproductive system and gonad, that is a testis, and LS of testis or TS of testis.